Okay, so nothing big really happened in fantasy football today. Clinton Portis played a joke on some female reporters. Bob Sanders is going to be out indefinitely, and Jake Delhomme is going to be missing from practice for a few days. So, nothing that really affects your fantasy team. So, let's go back and talk about something that happened a couple of days ago that I couldn't touch on. Laurence Maroney getting traded from the New England Patriots to the Denver Broncos. Okay, now this is a big deal for two different reasons. Number one, it clears up New England's backfield, which is a very good thing. Now there's only 4 rushers to split the carries. Granted, that's not necessarily a formula for fantasy football success, but it was better than it was before. And Laurence Maroney was getting a bunch of the carries around mid-season last year. So, that's at least a good thing there. I think that Fred Taylor will pick up most of the carries. You could see Sammy Morris making a bit of a cameo, and Kevin Falk maybe getting a reception here and there. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, he's going to kind of be around, but don't expect him to have more than maybe 5 rushes in a game. I don't see a lot coming from Ben Jarvis. But then again, I wouldn't want to own any of New England's running backs because Bill Belichick has the weird ability to throw in any running back in one game and just make that one guy a fantasy star, and then the next week he'll probably get benched or something. I mean, next week, let's say Fred Taylor has a good game. The next week, he might have 2 carries, and Sammy Morris will be the star. Then the week after that, it could be Kevin Falk's turn. It's just a weird system that New England's running with their running backs. It works in real life, but from fantasy football perspective, it doesn't really do anything because you have a hard time predicting who's going to be the star that week. But if I had to pick one New England running back, let's say we're in a really, really deep league or something, then I'd probably have to go with Fred Taylor. He has the most experience out of any of the running backs on New England's roster. Yes, he is on the wrong side of 30. I will admit that. But really, I think every one of the New England running backs has some fault. So, it's slim pickings here. So, Fred Taylor would probably be the guy who would most likely benefit from the Laurence Maroney shift. Now, you might be wondering, how is this going to affect the Denver Broncos? Well, for one thing, Correll Buckhalter is going to take a serious nosedive, okay? He's already not getting very many carries as is. Bring in somebody who's even better despite all his flaws, he's going to be lucky if he sees the field nowadays. He might get 1 or 2 carries or so, but I don't see anything good coming from him. If he's anywhere near your team, even if he's just on your watch list, get him out of there, okay? He is not going to do anything for your team, even in the deepest of leagues. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think that Laurence Maroney is going to be a threat to Knowshon Moreno's number 1 status in the Broncos' backfield. But I do think that he's going to make an interesting number 2. Just remember, he does have a connection to head coach Josh McDaniels. McDaniels was Maroney's offensive coordinator back in the 18-1 2007 New England Patriots season. So, there is a connection there. Next week's matchup against Seattle looks favorable, so I'd pick him up if you want to. But just remember, as I've said, he's going to be the number 2 running back on that team behind Knowshon Moreno, which could mean anything. Could mean he gets 15 touches, could mean he gets 5, and it could mean that he'll ride the bench for the entire game. So, keep your expectations low, and you won't be disappointed. So that's just about it. I think the only 2 people who actually benefit from this trade are Fred Taylor and Maroney himself. Taylor, I wouldn't pick up this week. He's facing the New York Jets defense, and unless your league counts pass interference calls for points, it's not going to be a fun day for you. For Laurence Maroney, on the other hand, is going to be facing Seattle's defense, which is fairly loose. So I think that he might have a good game there. Maybe 50 yards, might be able to squeeze out a touchdown if he's lucky. And if you're in a deeper league, that might help you out. Remember, Maroney's only owned in 42% of leagues, and Taylor's only owned in 30%. So, pick up Maroney if you can this week, and pick up Taylor if you can for week 3. So that's just about it. See y'all later.